Actually had to get a couple of new tyres put on the front of my four-wheel drive. So that's... Hey everyone, I've just ducked into the back of West Gosford, just come down the hill. I actually had to get a couple of new tyres put on the front of my four-wheel drive. So that's going to take about an hour. And basically I love getting around in these little urban survival missions, especially imagine if you didn't have access to Coles or Woolies. What are you going to do? You got no access to the shops. Do you know what you can forage in the bush? Do you know where you can find protein, fat, water, the means to make a fire, whatever, if everything's wet because it's been raining? Hey, for anyone that's just joined us, I've done one video before this, and please check out the other ones. Share this around. I'm doing 7 days just living off wild food. About 50-50, I'll be about half in an urban environment and about half in the bush, but the Central Coast is surrounded by bushland anyway, so there'll be plenty of information for people that want to follow along. And I've got a bit of stuff here. It's going to keep me going. I've got some Lemandra longifolia to give me some carbohydrates. I don't bother just pulling out just the one leaf. I twist it off and get all those, get the large chunky section which you can either cook or eat raw. Now, it's important to say, towards the end of summer, if it gets really, really hot for a while and really, really dry, you've got a drought, the base of the Lemandra longifolia and the seeds that you can usually eat turns temporarily toxic. Now, you'll read in many, many books that this is perfectly edible, and it certainly is, but it can turn toxic. So before you go out trying to forage or eat wild foods, especially if you're going to be eating introduced plants like this red clover, which ironically it's got a thing called it's like an estrogen booster, but bodybuilders use it for temporary testosterone boosting, which is quite interesting. You think it would do the opposite, so maybe it's a bit of an adaptogenic, boosting hormones in general. I probably don't need it, but going into this wild food challenge, I'm going to need a bit of a boost. Been a little bit burnt out lately, just taken on too much. Anyone else know that feeling? So I'm going to get some of these clovers into me. Oh, I've got to make sure that I'm taking the ones out that aren't clovers. What's something you'd have to be careful of when it comes to eating a lot of introduced plants? Of course, you need your... People are trying to ring me. Of course, you need to be very, very careful they haven't been sprayed with poison before you've got there, and you need to make sure you get your ID right. But I know these ones quite well. I've eaten them on many occasions. I know the Lemandra longifolia. You can often smell the bitter, poisonous-like flavour in it, my scent. But look at all that carbohydrate-rich food in there, and that's what I'm doing today. I'm building up my fats, my carbohydrates, my protein. Need to get a good source of water. I'm going to go back to my camp later, take the 4B up to my camp, so there's plenty of water around there. But also look at some different ways that you can procure water in an urban survival situation, which you never know, might be around the corner. I'm not trying to scare people, but probably a good time to start learning some survival skills for the sake of you and your family. That's a particularly nice tasting Lemandra longifolia. And I've also just got myself some dry leaves, some dry bracken fern, some stringy bark, because that's the first thing I do when I go out and do any wild food challenges or proper survival missions out in the bush, is I get as much dry tinder as I can. Kindling, tinder. I've also got, as I mentioned in the last video, this native sarsaparilla here, which is going to give me that sugar boost. So I'm basically trying to get my energy to go up, 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 up. And a really good way to do this, and again, excuse my filming because I'm doing it all with one hand. I might actually invite a friend over. There's a grub that I got in the last video if you want to check that out. This is going to give me tons of protein, tons of natural fats, and lots of energy, which is what I need. I've also got another grub in there somewhere. There it is, I can just see it. Let's see if I can tease it out and film at the same time. It's pretty challenging using this one hand. No, I'll just grab my knife. So just going to split that open where the grub's inside. This stick will hopefully be enough. So I think they call this battening. So you just hold the knife there and then that broke. You don't need a super strong stick, but it's got the knife in there like that, and hopefully, break the knife there for a sec, that will result in me getting this protein-rich grub out of there, which it will. If you know where to look, you will find food, you will survive. Plant, food and medicine is important to make sure you're keeping your plumbing going. Keeping vitamins and minerals in your body is incredibly important. I'll find plenty of plant food. I'm getting stuck into this right from the start because I want to make sure I'm keeping my fats and my proteins up, which I'll certainly do with this grub. Now I've knocked up these fire sticks here. Fair bit of food happening already in the first day. The Wild Food Challenge for Lifeline, 131114. How's that? Can you see that all right, friends? So I'm going to whack these guys there. Again, I've knocked up these fire sticks here. So there's my bow drill, just with a bit of paracord. You can use a shoelace and a bit of grass tree, Xanthorrhoea resinosa. Lock that in position. Grab it with my right hand. I don't know how well you guys can see there. It's pretty windy, so hopefully I can get a fire going all right. Just place, oops. So you cut a little ridge in the back for the hot ashes to drop down, and you just sort of carve that in a little bit, and then it naturally starts to get that circular shape. Now let's see how we go. I do have oh no, I don't have my lighter on me, it's back at the car. So if I don't get this right, I don't get to eat this grub right now, and I'm pretty hungry. They're looking very, very tasty down there at the moment, the grubs. It's going to give me loads of energy. Very exciting, off to a good start so far. Alright, so you can use a hollowed out shell in an urban survival situation. Oh, there's another grub in there. You could use a bit of plastic, whatever you like, over the top so you're not burning a hole in your hand. I've used a shot glass before. You can obviously carve out a bit of wood to put over your hand so you get that sliding sensation. One of my favourites is using a shell, just an oyster shell. But again, you can use whatever you like. Let's see how we go. So hold that in place there and just run it along like that. And pretty soon, hopefully, yeah, it's looking pretty good, guys. Is it caught yet? Not quite. Now that's just leaning a little bit forward, so that's putting it out. Oh, wait a sec, I think it's taken. Just. We might have got lucky here. Oh, it's just started. So once you see it dancing on its own, like that, you've got your hot coal. And there's some people that are pretty amazing at doing this with the hand drill. I'm not that great at it, so I mainly use this technique. But I want to make sure I'm going to put that shell there to make sure the wind doesn't blow that away. Keep dancing, keep dancing. Come on, I want to eat these grubs. They're making a run for it. I don't blame them. Oh, there's that wind. Don't blow it away, please. Please don't blow it away. One day I'll have a cameraman with me all the time. I shouldn't say cameraman, camera person. Alright. I'll get that coal in there before it goes out. gently. When I run my courses, people get a go at this, especially on the weekend course. There is some courses coming up. I'm going to jump on my website, cassarbushcraft.com. You beauty, we've got a flame. Now I need to work quickly. I've got some dry gum leaves here. Make sure they catch. And I've got some kindling. I'm not going to start a big fire, just enough to cook my grubs and get this show on the road. And do with a bit of that smoke on me. Part of my motivation, I guess, for doing this wild food challenge, especially for Lifeline, is that life's pretty tough right now for a lot of people, isn't it? And there's no shame in getting help. I've had counselling before, I'm not ashamed to admit it. Going through a very rough patch. Through a lot of wild and woolly stuff, working as a nightclub bouncer for many years on the coast. And the Central Coast in general can be a pretty wild place to grow up, as much as I love it. So for a lot of you young people out there, particularly young men that have problems expressing themselves, then I highly recommend, if you do need help, young ones out there, that you go and get it. Again, there's no shame in it. It takes a lot of courage actually sometimes to go and get the help that you need. And I'd be very, very proud of you if you needed help, you needed support, especially if you were having really bad thoughts. Then I'd be extremely proud of you for doing the right thing by yourself, by your family, by all those who love you, and going and getting the help that you need. So here's probably breakfast and lunch, hopefully not dinner as well. Oops. Can you guys see that all right? Plenty of protein there. So whether I'm taking the life of a grub, of a rabbit, of a deer, of a goat, I always show as much respect as I can. I don't want them to suffer. That's part of the reason why I've snuck out around the corner to do this as quickly as I can, so these grubs aren't distressed. I say thank you for your life, and I just remove their head really quickly. Thank you for your life, mate, and then chuck them in the coals. Thank you for your life. I'm sorry. But this is enough to sustain myself and a couple of other people with a bit of protein and fat, and then we've got all that plant food out there as well. Thank you for your life, beautiful grub. So they're going to wriggle around a little bit because that's nerves, but I have removed their head, and this is going to get me started today and off to a really, really good start. So they will be not only well cooked in there, but they will be smoked as well, adding to that flavour. And basically you know they're cooked when they start to expand, they start to stretch out, then you know that they're well cooked. And actually, on that note, they can carry a parasite, so you want to make sure you cook all insects. I just cook everything really well. Most meat I'll boil it for a while. And they've got a delicious flavour. Probably be good to cook them in the shell actually. Oh god, that's hot. Nearly swore then, sorry kids. That might happen over the course of the week. G'day Michaela and Josh. What's the difference between the white ones and the purple looking one? I'd say they evolve into a different animal. Most of them turn into a moth. But I'm not sure with the pink ones, but I have eaten them on many occasions. But I'm strongly suggesting people at home don't go trying bush tucker at all until they really are absolutely sure what they're doing. And even if you know what you're doing, you know, you're not going to know everything about plants and everything about animals, so you could still make mistakes. So I recommend people do a few courses. There's lots of good courses out there. Sorry, just choking on a bit of lamandra. And learn as much as they can before they get out and start, I guess, challenging themselves with this kind of thing. I'm starting a patch system probably at the end of this year or earlier, early next year, where people get a white patch with my logo on it once they pass the first test and they learn how to act, I guess, responsibly, respectfully, safely in the bush. And I guess I've got to assume that people are starting from the beginning when I do my courses. There'll be a lot of people that already do act in that way. But there'll be a kids version and an adults version, and that'll be how can we interact with the land, not only with a beneficial situation for us, but a mutually beneficial situation with the land and each other ultimately. That's cooking really well now. See, that's starting to expand, and that one there's pretty much cooked. Might just blow out those flames. Well, they're not going to let me. I'm just going to roll that one over. Look at that, looking good. So I'll give them a good cook. A little while. Again, full of protein. Just something popped up saying that I can go live with someone else. I'd love other survival teachers that I know. They'd have to check in with me first, so I knew them and know that they interact with the land safely and respectfully, and of course giving credit and full respect to the traditional custodians of the area in which they're working in, and foraging in, living in. Here we go, that's all about ready. That looks really good. And there is some really good teachers out there running some good courses. Even people that have just learnt a lot from books often have really good information, but in saying that, always be super careful when you're dealing with bush tucker. Plant food, animal food. Always make sure you're doing it sustainably as possible. That's why I like to focus on a lot of the introduced species. I haven't lost any of the grubs, that's a first. Normally I end up charcoaling a few, so they're pretty well cooked. So if the parents wouldn't mind explaining to the kids, or if you don't know yourself, why protein is important, why carbohydrates, fats are important to keep us going. It's really, really important information. We've got tons of protein, natural occurring fats. You can actually hear that crackling. I don't know if you guys can hear that. But this is a good start to the day. You actually feel very, very satisfied when you eat the grubs. Just got to put that out because that wind's blowing up. Well, so I'll make sure that that's completely out. Again, I might get a couple of friends to come and video for me for a couple of days because it's been interesting doing all this stuff with one hand. And so you guys can really see what's going on. There is just, wait, there's a little coal there. Put that out. Coals there. Cover that up with dirt. Cold, wet dirt. Probably good for some, not only the young ones, but some of the older ones to watch this situation unfold, because often people are so used to just getting everything bam, their information. You want to see something, you just Google it on YouTube, but it takes a little while. It takes quite a bit of patience to do this kind of stuff. So they're all well cooked. Looking great. Great tucker. I'll start off with one of the little ones. Yummo. That's delicious. Another little one. Bit charcoal, that one. Tastes like charcoal grub. Funny that. One of the bigger ones. Yum. Oh, that's divine. I can just feel that like assimilating with my body, like straight away. Believe it or not. Yum. Some of the pinky ones. And then the big one. Thank you for your life, mate. I really do appreciate it. And all the people that you will educate, families. Never know what's around the corner in the world. It's a pretty crazy world we're living in. Always has been. A beautiful world, crazy world. But everything's kind of coming to a head, isn't it? So I believe it's a really good idea for you to start learning, all of you to start learning, at least about sustainable and safe and respectful foraging. And if we can focus a lot on introduced flora and fauna, that's a really good idea, because we can regenerate the land and provide ourselves with free, healthy, ultimate free-range food. So hopefully that'll make sense. I'm going to chow down on this fella. Yum. That's so good. Oops. That's a tricky bit. Yummo. Alright. So it's nearly time for me to go and pick up my car. It's got some front tyres put on there. Again, this is a 7-day wild food challenge, where I'm only living on what I can sustainably, ethically forage from the bush. I might even get some roadkill. I'll have a bit of a walk around tonight around Mangrove Mountain. Obviously fresh, super fresh stuff, and I can tell you a little bit about how to procure fresh roadkill. Hope everyone's enjoying it. Hope you enjoyed that little bit then. Glad I got reception in this area. I don't have much reception up at camp, so it's going to have to be just some short videos that I share. Or I might just stay in areas where there's reception so I can keep sharing. Don't forget, if you can afford to, please make a donation to Lifeline. Share these posts around. Jump on my website if you want to learn more about what I do, and I'll see you around the traps.